Hi everybody on the call. My name is Ashley Early and welcome to today's webinar, Hidden Business Opportunities Within the Nonprofit Sector Using GuideStar Data. I'd like for all of you to know that we are happy to take questions from everyone during the presentation. As I mentioned before, there are about 300 registered and we're waiting for a few more. We're up to about 200 to join in on the call. So thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're more than welcome, like I said, to submit the questions at any time by using the Q&A box. You should see that on the right-hand side of your screen. It should be under the chat feature. And our presenters, Bunkie Ryder and our Data Services Coordinator, Diana Knight, will be in conversation throughout the entire webinar, and hopefully a lot of your questions, your burning questions, will be answered throughout. So if we don't get to them before our time is up, we will do our best to follow up with you directly via email as soon as possible. In addition, everyone listening, in addition, we have a little surprise for you at the end, so make sure you stick around. So that's your little incentive to stay with us throughout the entire presentation. So in addition to all of these hidden gems we are going to uncover, you are going to have a surprise at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenters. We have with us from GuideStar our very own Bunkie Ryder and Diana Knight. So Bunkie Ryder is GuideStar's Senior Director of National Sales. Bunkie has 20 years of experience in both nonprofit management, fundraising, and revenue generation. During the last 14 years with GuideStar, Bunkie has worked in a variety of roles, and she has focused on developing partner relationships, from delivering comprehensive solutions from the GuideStar database for partners and clients. Beyond the distribution of GuideStar's extensive database through licensing partnerships, Bunkie travels throughout the entire country talking with nonprofit professionals about GuideStar's role in the nonprofit sector. And then we have our very own Diana Knight. She's our Data Services Coordinator and has been with GuideStar for almost 9 years. During that time, she's worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients, and Diana has gained pretty unique insights into the data we offer. So I'm really excited to have you both with us today, and for those of you who are just getting onto the call, a recorded version of this webinar will be available, and as I mentioned, stay tuned. End of the webinar, we have a little treat for you. So for those of you joining in now, welcome to Hidden Business Opportunities Within the Nonprofit Sector Using GuideStar Data, and I go ahead and turn this over to Bunkie Ryder. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and thanks again, everyone, for taking time out of your busy day to be here with us. We hope that this will be both informative and insightful and a robust conversation around using our data and our information in our database. And I'm going to go ahead and get started right away so we can start the conversation with Diana. What I want to do first, though, is set the stage for you on what we're going to, what we're talking about. Why even do we care? And I'm going to give you some stats, so bear with me. And I want to talk about our incredibly powerful sector. In 2010, public charities generated $1 trillion in revenue. We spent $1.45 trillion, and we held $2.71 trillion in assets. And between 2010 and 2012, we, the nonprofit sector, grew faster than any other sector, business or government. There are today more than 2 million nonprofits that employ 12 million people in this country. And in many areas, nonprofits are the largest employer in the community. So when I think about why do we care, why are we paying attention, why do we need to learn about the hidden gems in the GuideStar database, that's what I think about. I think about what a powerful, amazing, ever-gaining force we are. So, yeah, that's kind of setting the stage, giving you some context. The next kind of context I wanted to give you is I wanted to spend a few minutes defining what we mean by the GuideStar database. So I'm going to tell you how the database is constructed, what it's constructed of, give you a few shots of what that looks like, and then we're going to get right into our question and answer session with Diana. The GuideStar database is constructed of layers of information. And the layers of information include the first shallow layer of information, the business master file. The IRS obviously has a business master file of all the business entities in the country. We carve out the piece that is pertaining to the tax-exempt entities, and we upload that every time it's available to us. We then, through great cost and strife, depending on who you're talking to in our little organization, we then key into a massive database and have, for over 10 years, over 400 data fields from the reporting document that organizations with $250,000 in revenue and greater have to file with the IRS. That's the next layer of information. We'll spend most of our time today talking about that document and the hidden gems within it. Then there's another layer that we aggregate, and that's the layer of information, the proprietary information that organizations, these public charities, come to us and offer us in their nonprofit profile. The nonprofit profile at GuideStar is incredibly powerful, and I'll show you how it sort of shakes out in a later slide. But I did want you to know that we are the world's largest source of information on nonprofit organizations, with 2.5 billion pieces of data on 2.4 million organizations, including 1.7 million 501c3s. So let's talk about, sorry, a little technical issue there. We're getting to the reporting document. So when you talk about the reporting document that organizations have to file with the IRS, you're talking about organizations, as I mentioned, that make a certain revenue and greater every year, and you're really talking about a fiscal reporting document. So when it comes to things like measuring their impact, I'll show you a slide later where we try to address that as GuideStar and the social impact that we would love to see be interpreted for the nonprofit sector and those beyond it. But for this particular conversation, we'll be spending a lot of time in these highlights. When you look at the document, you see that the main document has a tremendous amount of, as I mentioned, fiscal information. It also has, as you can see in the highlighted Part 3, mission and program information. It also has, and Diana will touch on this, Part 4, the checklist of required schedules. Hint, that's a good one. So when we're looking at this document, when we're talking about this document, we key over 400 fields, as I mentioned, from this document. There is a lot of gold in here. And whether you're doing this research yourself or whether you're coming to us to do it, we look forward to talking through some of what you can find. In addition to the documents, the 990 reporting documents filed by the public charities, we also key information from, and this is about 100 to 125 fields, from the Form 990 PF, which is what the funders file, or the foundations. In addition to that, we key some fields and we key some documents called Form 990 EZ. That's sort of when you're thinking about your tax documents, the 1040 and the 1040 short form. So the 990 EZ is what we would consider the 1040 short form for a nonprofit organization. So that's why those notes say that it includes some things but not other things that might be included. So hopefully that gives you kind of an overview as to what it is that we key from that form and that form itself and the importance in our database. Beyond that, as I mentioned, there's that upper layer of over 100,000 organizations that have come to us and given us additional narrative data about themselves. This program that you see on your screen right now is what we use in order to help them build their profiles. It goes from everything from basic information all the way to the coming soon of quantitative results, which, as I said, we hope move that needle in terms of looking at social impact in the sector, helping us understand the greatest impact from the greatest organizations. But in the meantime, we still have bronze, silver, and gold, which give us, again, that deeper level of information. Many times when we're talking about in GuideStar Database and GuideStar information, it could seem possibly statistically insignificant to have over 100,000 of these organizations. But the data that's within those profiles is anything but insignificant, and the reason for that being that oftentimes a reporting document is filed once a year. But the information in these profiles is available to us and available to be updated by the nonprofit at any given moment throughout the year at no cost to the nonprofit themselves. The one caveat that I wanted to make sure I mentioned for all of us on the call is GuideStar is not displaying private information on those profiles. This is a public profile built by the nonprofit for that purpose. So just to make that caveat, make that clear. But between all these sources of aggregated information, we have a lot to offer. And one of the people that I believe has more to say about that than anybody else at GuideStar is the woman who works with hundreds of organizations, as Ashley says, compiling custom data sets. Now, whether or not you are listening to this call today because you want more information about how we can help you, or our tools can help you, or Diana can help you, or whether you're doing this yourself, it would be wonderful to have a conversation with Diana about how we might go about that and what you might look for. So thanks very much, Diana, for joining us.
Oh, I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. Appreciate it. So I'm going to jump right in and start asking you the first question, Diana. Here's my first hard-hitting question, which is, GuideStar offers Pro Search, which is an online subscriber tool which allows many users to use a multitude of search fields and come up with some pretty good results from our database that they don't have to go looking through, but is key for them on the screen. So when and why would someone choose a customized extract or to do that research themselves and dive into the data instead of Pro Search?
That's a good question. I'm a huge fan of Pro Search, and it's a good fit for many clients. But there are occasions when it's not the best solution. For example, if an organization needs historical data as well as current year reporting, Pro certainly, wouldn't fit their needs as far as the historical data is concerned. Pro wouldn't be a good fit if the client's search criteria can't be accommodated by Pro. For example, your criteria is actually based upon a calculation. Instead of searching by total contributions, you want to search by those contribution components that are related to fundraising. So you want to exclude government grants and related orgs. Pro Search wouldn't allow you to do that. You would search by total contributions. Pro wouldn't be the best solution if you require data points that are not available for download through Pro. Sometimes Pro will return such a robust number of results that it might take you several months to gather all those results. Pro has a 10,000 record per month download limit. Yeah. So if your results exceed 10,000 records, you would have to gather that information over one or more months. But if you need the information right away, you want it all to be fresh and timely, a custom data set would be the best solution.
Okay, that's great. So in your experience, what do people want to know most often when they contact you? So, and I ask that question because there are plenty of people on the phone who might say, nonprofit data, but what is the most common reason that people come to you? What do they want to know?
Most questions begin with, is it possible? And what follows varies by the client. Is it possible to identify organizations who use a certain accounting firm to prepare their financial reporting? Is it possible to find organizations that fund nonprofits similar to mine? Is it possible to find organizations who are invested in fixed income instruments?
Oh, wow.
So is it possible is the most common question. What follows is all over the map.
So, great. So once you determine that it is possible, then can you tell us about a particular problem you solved for a particular client?
A recent client that is a credit card processor wanted to identify nonprofits reporting credit card processing fees of $100,000 or more per year. There's no line item on Form 990 Part 9 that addresses bank fees, credit card processing fees. However, there are 4 free-form expense fields that nonprofits can separate expenses because they're significant and because they can't really pigeonhole them somewhere else. So for this client, we looked at those free-form text fields and identified how credit card processing was reported, you know, bank charges, merchant charge, CC charges, I mean, all over the place. But we were able to generate a very good leads list for this client of nonprofits reporting over $100,000 in customization and credit card processing fees.
How'd that go for him?
Oh, he was a lot of fun to work with because I would come into work and I would have an email. I have meetings in Austin next week with 5 organizations because of your leads list.
Yes.
And one email was, I'm going to be Vancouver to meet with organizations from your leads list. And you might be wondering what Vancouver, isn't that in Canada? A lot of non-U.S. organizations choose to register with the IRS and make themselves visible to the U.S. donor base. And for those organizations that do, we can include those in your data set.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks very much. So we've heard the success story. What about can you tell us of the case where you were not able to help someone using our data?
There's limits to the information I can provide. One being a comprehensive list of schools. We can provide a list of K through 12 schools, private colleges and universities, supporting foundations of public universities, but we can't provide information on public K through 12 or public universities. At the beginning, Bunkie described our current sources of information, and GuideStar continues to search for other sources of information. So I feel sure at some point we'll be able to provide a more comprehensive list of schools, but right now we're limited to the nonprofit reporting.
Okay, well that's helpful, especially for those of us out there looking for that piece. So one of the things that comes to mind for me, and I've listened to a few of your trying to interpret information calls through the years, what is the most misunderstood element in the information you can provide? What's the thing that kind of stumps people?
The most often, I guess, point of confusion, and I'll admit it took me probably 2 months to wrap my head around it when I started working here, is the difference between form year and fiscal year. When you're looking at an actual printed form, it's obvious. The form year is printed on the upper right-hand corner of the form, and the fiscal year is the year of the reporting period end. But with a custom data solution, you're not looking at the actual form. You're looking at field names and the underlying data. So form year is the printed form year. Fiscal year end, or FYE, is the year of the reporting period end. And often the fiscal year end and the printed form year are different, but it's just important to know the difference between the print year and the reporting year.
Mm-hmm. What's a more common request? I would assume it's the fiscal year.
Most common request is fiscal year. I've had maybe a handful of clients who came back and said, no, we require the printed form year. And we can certainly change our methods to accommodate that, but most people want fiscal year.
Fantastic. So, hard-hitting question for those of us who are doing this research ourselves and looking for information on how to size and rank the sector in particular ways. What if we don't have Diana?
Well, a lot of, small startup businesses and organizations and researchers. I mean, I was broke when I was in school, but you still need the information. You've got to get the work done. You want to, develop your business. And for a lot of those users, our research will provide a lot of useful information. It just requires a lot more hands-on work for them. But you can certainly gather a lot of information through the research. Often, the client will just want an idea of the potential market. And in those cases, I can provide aggregate counts by nonprofit sector, by revenue sizes, income sizes, whatever their benchmark is, just to give them information so that they know how big their market is. And I often refer clients to NCCS, the National Center for Charitable Statistics. They do a great job and have a lot of aggregated reports available by reporting year, nonprofit sector, subsection, geography. So we try to meet the needs of our clients who can't afford our products and services.
Thank you. Any help is good help on that one. So, and finally, what do you think is something that our audience might not know that's available in our database that could be helpful to them? The hidden gems we were talking about. Can you address some of those that come to mind?
That come to mind? There's a lot. We digitize a huge number of data points. Now that we've begun digitizing additional schedules, we're actually closer to 1,000 digitized data points, with the introduction of the new supporting schedules. But even with that number of digitized fields, we sometimes don't digitize what the client needs. I had a researcher who wanted to identify nonprofits who received donations of fine art and antiquities. We don't digitize that specific line item from the supporting schedule, but on Part 4, the checklist of required reporting schedules, one of the questions asked, did you receive any donations of fine art? Yes or no? Yeah. I don't remember the number, but it's pretty straightforward. So we were able to identify nonprofits who had fine art donations. We just couldn't provide the dollar amounts, but they've got a much smaller subset of nonprofits they have to look at, as opposed to every nonprofit to see if it's reported.
Wow. So the schedule has a lot of power as to pointing you in the direction. The supporting schedules checklist has a lot of power. Yes.
Even if we don't digitize the underlying data, it will identify nonprofits that fit your research or business model.
Fantastic.
And there's other, to me, they're hidden gems. A lot of people think of our nonprofit data as being just financial. But if you're an asset manager, Schedule D, Part 7 and 8 can provide you some insight as to the nature of the investments that the organization is holding. If you're looking for organizations that work within a certain international mission, we can identify nonprofits working to provide clean water internationally. If it's more important to you that you target a specific geography, we can actually, identify from Schedule F foreign activities. We can actually identify nonprofits working with clean water in sub-Saharan African countries. Schedule F, helps us identify those those types of organizations. A lot of clients are actually seeking funding, and they want to find other organizations that fund organizations similar to theirs. Schedule I, grants to United States organizations, will allow us to identify the organizations who are funding, for example, animal welfare and protection. So we can connect fund seekers with fund providers, people who are looking to work with or research, organizations involved in international endeavors, and people who are working with financial information but want more underlying details behind that financial information.
Wow, those are some pretty good hidden gems.
I think so.
Yeah, and we, the slides that we had from you about those particular schedules were really, really helpful, so thank you. And a clarifying question on those slides, Diana, we're looking at the investment schedule D right now, and there's red boxes around certain parts of that form, and then not red boxes around others. Can you tell me what those mean?
Oh, that's a good question. We actually mark the physical reporting forms and schedules with two colors. Red indicates we digitized this field and we digitized these data points in previous years. We also use green, which will highlight data points that are newly digitized, beginning with that printed form year. So we digitized Schedule D, Part 7 and 8 in previous years. Those are marked as red. But I believe if we look at Schedule F and I, we would see that those fields are marked in green. And that means that those, well, the green marking simply means that we've begun digitizing those data points beginning with that printed form year.
Great. Okay. Well, that's helpful, too, in the translation of what we're looking at on the screen. So, Diana, thank you so much for the conversation, but I know that Ashley's getting some burning questions over here, so yeah, let's take some of those.
Okay. We do have a few questions, and I mentioned to everybody you can submit them in the Q&A box there, and I'm trying to get these over to Diana now. In the meantime, whatever we don't answer, and for those of you whose audio is going in and out, we will have a recording of this, so I will make sure that we get this to you within the next several days, no problem at all. So first question that I have for you, Diana, so how about this one? We're a CPA firm looking to expand our nonprofit practice in a specific location. Is this possible to do with Pro Search? Because you mentioned Pro Search. I'm wondering if this is something that we can, this kind of information we can find out from that.
Absolutely. It depends on your geographic criteria. Pro Search will let you search by state, by the city proper, by the metropolitan statistical area, or by a radius around your zip code up to 40 miles. In addition to your geographic criteria, you can identify nonprofits by their reported professional accounting fees expense. This gives you a clue of organizations within your geographic profile who are currently using professional accounting services. One of the fields returned in a Pro Search is the Form 990 preparers, so you have an idea of who they're currently working with. And if you're involved in CPA practices, some of them are involved in every possible accounting service you can imagine, whether it's auditing, payroll processing, pension management, keeping the books. You can identify organizations within your geographic footprint, the organizations who need an audit to be performed. And, certainly if you're involved in asset management, you can also filter the results by their investable assets. So Premium Pro can very likely meet your needs.
So Diana, based on what you just said about asset managers, here's your next question. Can you please provide a little more detail on how you can help asset managers in targeting endowment and foundation assets? Did I see a slide on that?
With Schedule D, Part 1 is donor advised fund. I believe it's Part 5.
Okay.
But Schedule D actually addresses endowments. We digitize the beginning of year figures, the end of year figures, and in between a whole lot of activity, whether it's contributions to the endowment, grants made from the endowment. So yes, we can identify organizations based on the endowment size that fits your sweet spot, so to speak, and filter those so that your results set is going to be comprised of nonprofits that fit your business model.
Great, great. Thank you so much. So can one research what organizations do a specific mission or purpose? And if so, what level of membership does a nonprofit have to have with GuideStar to do this level of research? That's a great question. So that's not really a data question. It's almost a, yeah.
It kind of is.
Okay.
It kind of is. With our free search and certainly with Pro Search, you can apply keywords. And let's say that your mission that you're passionate about is animal welfare. You can use animal welfare or just animals. I feel like start big and then get more specific, but you can use a keyword search in our free or Pro Search tools. And what the keyword search does, it's applied against the organization's name. It's applied against the organization's mission statement. It's applied against their accomplishments reported on Part 3 of the Form 990. And if the nonprofit has participated in updating their nonprofit profile, they can actually choose keywords so that their organization pops up in those keyword searches. So, yes, a keyword search can be used with the free search or with our subscription searches.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And so addressing the question with the level of membership, you can, there is a way in which you can obtain premium, which is our sort of mid-level search, and you should definitely get in touch with us if you want to do that, to the person who asked that question. Also, Diana, I think this one is tailor-made for you. Can you search on the size of endowment? And is there any information on how the endowment is currently being managed? Now, qualify this by, I don't think you can search on the size of endowment within Pro Search. That would be something that you would definitely need to help facilitate. Correct?
Right. And, Pro Search wouldn't allow you to search endowments. A lot of times people who are using Pro Search, will search by total assets, I believe you can also search by temporary, restricted, unrestricted, and permanently restricted assets. We're looking specifically at searching for organizations based on endowment size. That requires a custom search against the Schedule D Part 5 data.
Okay, okay. Well, thanks for that. So here's another one. Where can we find a comprehensive list of 990 form and schedule fields?
Good question.
Ooh. Is that published on our website?
I do not. Well, and I have an answer for you and for this person asking on our webinar today, and that is you would email the email that is on your screen right now, and we would send that to you. Also, Diana's email address is
dknight, as in Diana, Knight, at GuideStar.org.
So please feel free to email either one of us if you need more information on that particular question of what do we offer, and then, you know, what is the process that we would go through to be able to get you the information that you need. Ashley, what else you got for us? Anything else?
We do have a few more questions, but I think we're going to wrap it up now.
Great.
And be courteous, because all of our participants would like to, or attendees would probably like to get back to work. But in the meantime, I want to thank everybody, and especially just, you know, Diana and Bunkie for presenting today. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar, and I promised you a special treat. So our special way of saying thank you for being with us today. As long as the email we have for you is registered at GuideStar, you will receive trial access to Pro Search all day next Tuesday, August 4th. So once again, let me repeat that. As long as the email we have for you is registered at GuideStar, you will receive a trial access to Pro Search all day next Tuesday. So take a look, test drive the user interface, and if you have any questions or want more information, want to figure out how to activate this, go ahead and contact us. I put my email address in the chat box, but then you'll see Bunkie's right here, which is B as in boy, or B as in Bunkie, RIGHTER at GuideStar.org. So it sounds like brighter at GuideStar.org. So thanks again to everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we look forward to hearing from all of you very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.